Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In our last class, we discussed about the Biot-Savart law and its application. Now we will discuss about the Ampere's circuitry law. After solving a number of simple electrostatic problems with Coulomb's law, we found that the same problems could be solved much more easily by using Gauss's law whenever a high degree of symmetry was present. We first used Coulomb's law to solve some problems, and after that we solved those problems in a much easier way by using the Gauss's law whenever a high degree of symmetry was present. Similarly, an analogous procedure exists in magnetic fields. Here, the law that helps us solve problems more easily is known as Ampere's circuitry law, sometimes called Ampere's Hoover law. So we discussed the Biot-Savart law, and now we will solve those problems by using the Ampere's circuitry law by considering the symmetry. So Ampere's circuitry law states that the line integral of the magnetic field intensity about any closed path is exactly equal to the direct current enclosed by that path. If we look at the mathematical expression of the Ampere's circuitry law, so it states that the line integral of the magnetic field intensity about any closed path is exactly equal to the direct current enclosed by that path, and we define the positive current as flowing in the direction of advance of a right-handed screw turned in the direction in which the closed path is traversed. Referring to figure 8.7, here we have taken different paths. We have taken the path A as a closed path, we have taken the path B as a closed path, and we have taken the path C as a closed path. But these paths, path A and path B, are fully enclosing this conductor, whereas this path C is passing through the conductor. It is not enclosing the whole conductor, but it is enclosing a portion of it. So, referring to figure 8.7, which shows a circular wire carrying a direct current I, that is actually a circular wire carrying a direct current I. The line integral of the magnetic field intensity about the closed paths letter A and B results in an answer of I. Why? Because these closed paths are actually enclosing the whole conductor. So if we take the line integral of the magnetic field intensity about the path A or about the path B, so it will give us the answer I, because according to Ampere's circuitry law, the line integral of the magnetic field intensity about any closed path is exactly equal to the total current enclosed by the path. So this path is actually enclosing the current I. This path is actually enclosing the current I. So the line integral of H about the closed paths letter A and B results in an answer of I. The integral about the closed path C, which passes through the conductor, gives an answer less than I, because the path C is not fully enclosing the whole conductor. It is enclosing a portion of the conductor. So it will give us a result, and that result will be less than the total current, and is exactly that portion of the total current which is enclosed by the path C. Although paths A and B gave the same answer, the integrands are of course different. It means that if we look at this closed path and this closed path, both these closed paths give the same answer, that is I. But if we look at these paths are totally different. So the integrands will be different. It means that if we divide these closed paths into differential portions or into differential increments, so those increments or those portions will be different, but the summation or the addition of those components, those small portions, give us the same answer. So although the integrands are different, but the answer will be the same. Although paths A and B give the same answer, the integrands are of course different. Why? Because the line integral directs us to multiply the components of the magnetic field intensity in the direction of the path by a small increment of path length at one point of the path. Move along the path to the next incremental length and repeat the process, continuing until the path is completely traversed. Since the magnetic field intensity will generally vary from point to point, and since paths A and B are not alike, the contributions to the integral made by each micrometer of path length are quite different. Only the final answers are the same. It means that if we take this small portion, and if we take this small portion, so the contribution of these small portions will be different, but the total contribution, it means that if we add these small portions and if we add these small portions, the result will be the same. So a conductor has a total current I. The line integral of the magnetic field intensity about the closed paths A and B is equal to I. The line integral of H about the closed paths A and B is equal to I, and the integral around the path C is less than I, since the entire current is not enclosed by the path. Now, the application of Gauss's law involves finding the total charge enclosed by a closed surface. We are using Gauss's law to find the total charge that is enclosed by a closed surface. Here the application of Ampere's circuital law involves finding the total current enclosed by a closed path. So in this case we will determine the total current enclosed by the closed path. So let us again find the magnetic field intensity produced by an infinitely long filament carrying a current I. So let us solve that example again, which we solved in Biot-Savart law. That is an infinitely long filament carrying a current I. The filament lies on the z-axis in free space, and the current flows in the direction given by Az. Symmetry inspection comes first. It means that while solving a problem through Ampere's circuital law, so we will look at the symmetry. In symmetry, we will look at which components of the magnetic field intensity are present, and are there any variations in the magnetic field intensity along different coordinates. So if we look at the infinitely long filament, so only the phi component of the magnetic field intensity will be present, because if we want to determine the magnetic field intensity at a point, so the direction of the magnetic field intensity will be perpendicular to that plane. Now if we remind that example, so symmetry inspection comes first, showing that there is no variation with Z or phi. There is no variation with Z or phi because the magnetic field intensity was a function of rho only. If we move away from the filament, the magnetic field strength will decrease. Similarly, if we move towards the filament, the magnetic field strength will increase. But the magnetic field strength was not depending upon the Z coordinate or the phi coordinate. If we move along the z coordinate, there is no change in the magnetic field intensity. If we move along the phi coordinate, there was no change in the magnetic field intensity. Similarly, if we move along the rho coordinate, there were changes in the magnetic field intensity. So there is no variation with z or phi. Next, we determine which components of H are present by using the Biot-Savart law. So only the phi component was present. Without specifically using the cross product, we may say that the direction of the differential magnetic field intensity is perpendicular to the plane containing dl and r, and that component is actually the phi component. So, and therefore is in the direction of a phi. If the direction of dh is perpendicular to dl and r, or the direction of dh is perpendicular to the plane containing the vectors dh and r, so therefore the magnetic field intensity will be in the direction of a phi. Hence only the component of H is a phi and it is a function of rho. So the magnitude of the magnetic field intensity is a function of rho, and only the phi component of H is present. So if only the phi component of H is present, so if we look at the mathematical expression of the Ampere-Circuital law, so H will be equal to H phi, and as we are taking the dot product, so the dl will be equal to rho d phi. Because we are taking the dot product, so the dl has three coordinates: rho coordinate, phi coordinate and z coordinate. As we only have H phi, so H phi dot d rho results in 0, H phi dot dz results in 0, and we only have the rho d phi component. So H phi dot rho d phi, and phi changes from 0 to 2 pi, so the integration will be from 0 to 2 pi. And we therefore choose a path to any section of which H is either perpendicular or tangential, and along which H is constant. So the first requirement, perpendicularity or tangency, allows us to replace the dot product of Ampere-Circuital law with the product of scalar magnitudes, as we already discussed, except along that portion of the path where H is normal to the path and the dot product is 0. The second requirement, consistency, then permits us to remove the magnetic field intensity from the integral sign. The integration required is usually trivial and consists of finding the length of that portion of the path which H is parallel. As I already told you that the differential length dl has three coordinates: d rho, d phi and dz. But as we have the dot product, so we will only consider that component which is parallel to H. As the H has only the phi component, so we will take the phi component of dl, and that is rho d phi. So the closed line integral of H dot dl will be equal to H phi rho d phi. We converted the dot product into the scalar components, and phi changes from 0 to 2 pi. So rho and H phi are constants. We will take it out of the integral and we will integrate d phi. And according to Ampere-Circuital law, this thing is actually equal to the total current enclosed. So if we solve this integration, it will give us H phi 2 phi rho, and from this equation we can find H, that is equal to I divided by 2 pi rho. So the magnitude is H phi, H phi is equal to I divided by 2 phi rho. So we got the same answer as before, because in that case, by using the Biot-Savart law, that was a complex integration, and the final result was H is equal to I divided by 2 pi rho a phi, and we got the same answer in just a single step by applying the Ampere-Circuital law and by considering the symmetry. So by considering the symmetry and just a single integration, we got the desired answer at the desired point. So this was about the Ampere circuit law. If you have any question, you can ask. Thank you.